Hello, Thrive Tribe. Welcome back to Survive to Thrive Warrior Voices. I am super excited. I actually have two amazing guests with us today. And these women are just incredibly brave, full of courage. They both have survived a domestic violence relationship. And the crazy part is they share the same abuser. So this happens far more than we realize, where someone may be in a relationship with an abuser. When they break up or break apart or divorce, then that abuser moves on to their next relationship, often pitting the women against each other and also doing the classic, she's the crazy one, she was the problem, and all of that, making the new girlfriend go, oh, you poor man, like, what have you been through? And it's just a classic game that they play. And I have Shelby and Jenna with us today, and they're going to share with us their stories, their individual stories of their, I guess, their experience with abuse and how in the heck that they're both sitting here with me tonight, united and healing together. So, Shelby and Jenna, thank you so much for being with me tonight.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
So I want to start off though first, and I want to ask you, Shelby, tell me a little bit about yourself and where you're at today.
Um, Hi. I am 5 years now out of my relationship with my ex. Still single,
Mhm.
still thriving. I have had some health scares and have worked through those since then. I switched from a job to an actual career, and I am just continuing to try and heal and be the best mom and woman that I can be.
That is amazing, and I love that. So 5 years, and you're still single, which is great, which means you're taking the time to learn to love yourself and to put yourself first.
Yep.
Your health scares, I know we talked a little bit prior to this. A lot of it stems from the stress, anxiety that comes with being in a toxic relationship. And we could probably talk about that a little bit more. But
Yeah.
thank you for sharing that. I'm super excited to see and hear that you're thriving beyond that. And I mean, just going from a job to a career, all of the things, you know, congratulations to you. It takes a lot of inner work to do what you're
Mhm.
doing. So I'm super proud of you. How about you,
Thank you.
Jenna? Where are you at today? And tell us a little bit about you.
Yes, I'm Jenna. I'm also feel like I'm thriving. I am, I believe, just about 3 years post the abusive relationship. I am currently actually engaged. I just got engaged in September.
Yeah.
So to be married this summer at Electric Forest, that's one of our favorite places to go to together. But also have done some career changing due to different stressors. Unfortunately, due to the stress of the relationship, it made my job very difficult as I worked as a therapist. So, trying to work with women every single day and be triggered every single day got to be very challenging. I feel like I'm doing very well now, though. I'm in a new job and I'm enjoying it, and my kids are doing well. My kids endured some of it as well. And so we're all thriving and doing very well.
Wow. Well, thank you very much, Jenna, for sharing that with me. Congratulations on your engagement. That's super exciting. I've never been to Electric Forest, but I heard it's a riot. So that is awesome. I love when people do like weddings that are unique like that and do what is important to them. Like I had a Jeep wedding for crying out loud.
Oh,
And
fun.
when I was planning my wedding, my mom kept saying, "This is not a Jeep event. This is your wedding." I'm like, "I know, but it's gonna be great." So I love that, and I really hope, and I'm assuming if you're getting married, that you have found somebody that treats you well and gives you the
Uh-huh.
love that you deserve. So
Very much.
congratulations on that. All right, ladies, let's dig into this. Shelby, let's start with you because um, you were with this man first. So let's talk about your relationship, like how you guys met, how it got started.
Yeah.
Was it abusive right off the bat, or was it, gradual? Kind of walk us through what that looked like.
Okay. I met him through a mutual friend back in 2009, and I'm no longer friends with that person anymore. And I want to say I don't think he is either that I'm aware of. we were just young and dumb and having fun. Like, we were both 19, 20 years old. So, I want to say, ab- abuse started to happen within like the first 2 or 3 weeks that I was with him.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Um, After the first incident, well, the first incident was he actually smacked me across the face in the front yard of his friend's house. I don't even I don't remember the circumstances or why he did it. I can tell you that he was intoxicated. That's the only thing I can tell you. He was immediately sorry, wouldn't happen again. Typical, you know, I won't do that again and all of that. And it didn't happen for a while again. So it happened right away and then it stopped. And then it picked back up. But when it did pick back up, it was more slower. It wasn't all of the time. It was fewer in between incidences. But I can say that it was always when he was intoxicated or when he was doing drugs. Um, it did happen pretty quickly,
So
and I
let
would
me ask you
say,
this. Let me ask you this. So you said it was like kind of a gradual build to that. So
yep.
in between time, like when he wasn't smacking you on the face or he wasn't having these violent outbursts when he was drinking or doing drugs, what was your relationship like? Was it love bombing? Was he treating you well? Like, tell me about that in
Um,
between time.
and it was a pretty typical normal. I wouldn't say not love bombing, but like there was connection and chemistry there. He is very charming and very manipulative. And that was always present, but I didn't know that until way later. I didn't realize that until years in. I was like, "Oh, this is what all this is." So,
That makes sense.
I would not quite love bombing, but
Mhm.
there was chemistry, there was a connection, we were having fun. I also got pregnant with with our first daughter right away. Like, I was pregnant within, like, a month or so. So, we were still trying to learn everything about each other, and I probably didn't even know if I actually wanted to, like, be with him until after our daughter was born. It was just us having fun and trying to get to know each other still.
But the reason why I asked that really is because so many people go, well, why didn't they just leave if they're getting abused? And they forget that there's all of
Mhm,
this time in between where they are charming and they're loving and that there's kids involved and there's all of these barriers too
mhm,
that come up. And so that's why I wanted to ask about that in between time. But okay,
yeah,
so now you've had your daughter
yep,
and the abuse is still happening, but there's time in between. It's not a daily thing or constant. Is it
yeah.
physical abuse or was there emotional abuse, mental abuse?
Oh, it was all of it. It was definitely
Okay.
all of it. I didn't realize it though because I was so young. I didn't really know what I was experiencing. The physical abuse wasn't all of the time, but the emotional and the verbal abuse, that was pretty often. And it was almost every single weekend because he was either drunk or he was high off pills.
Mm,
So
okay.
that was pretty off. That was probably almost every single weekend for the first like year or so. And then,
Okay.
he finally was like, "Well, I'm gonna get better and I'm gonna stop doing this." And he did. He got himself off of pills, but the drinking was always very present. I just didn't realize how much, and he also hid it very, very well. When I first got with him, he had just lost his license, and it was because he had 3 DUIs already. And that was under the age of 21, and he was
Wow.
on probation. And for the first 5 years that we were together, he didn't have a license at all. We actually had to pay a lawyer a lot of money to get his license back. There was a lot of verbal and mental abuse often, and then the physical abuse was for the first year or so, probably was maybe once or twice a month.
Well, you still lived in a constant cycle of abuse. You
Yeah.
know, abuse is not just physical. It is that mental, emotional, it's financial. There's, you know,
Oh, yeah.
and what's happening during this time, I think is important to note is you are losing yourself in the process. You're losing your self-worth. You're losing your self-esteem, right? So So tell
Yeah.
me about that. Did you start noticing you losing who you were when you met him?
Oh, yeah. He isolated me from everybody pretty quickly. I still had contact with my mom and my stepdad, but there were numerous times where we would miss like a holiday or miss coming over on the weekend, miss some type of an event because I was hiding marks and scratches and like bruises, or um, I was physically exhausted because he would go out on a bender and would be gone all night. And I'm up with, a 2-year old, a 3-year old by myself at home. And he is either, what would happen is that he would either blow my phone up all night long till 4 or 5 in the morning, or he would call me at all. There was no in between with him. It was either one or the other. So I was exhausted. And so then we wouldn't go do the things that we were supposed to do. So I ended up pretty isolated. I lost my best friend, who actually is my cousin. Um, she and it wasn't her fault. We actually just kind of reconnected a little bit more recently, after everything. But I lost her. I didn't lose my mom, obviously. My mom is still my best friend, but um I lost more time with her because I was embarrassed and ashamed and I didn't want to be around her. So I was pretty isolated.
Mm, wow. So you're young and you're having kids. I mean, that's just so much to
Mhm.
put on anybody, let alone somebody's 19, 20, early 20s. Yeah, you're dealing with um I don't want to classify him as an addict, but it sounds
Yeah,
like he
he's
was
an
an
addict.
addict
Yeah.
and addictive personality, which typically is usually a sign of very low self-worth themselves, right?
Yep.
Mental health issues, undiagnosed or untreated mental health.
Uh-huh.
Um, so, and of course, being so young, and I heard you keep saying, like, I didn't know what it was at the time. Like, you didn't know how to name it at the
No.
time until later, like the charming or the emotional abuse, until looking back and go, wow, or even
Yeah.
learning more about it. Like, maybe you
Yeah.
were never exposed to this before. So, how would you know that this
Yeah.
is not normal? Like, this is
Yeah.
not what stressed out young parents go through, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm so sorry that
That's a
you even had to I guess I'm guessing it was probably one of your first real relationships too,
yeah.
and that is totally not what a healthy relationship or what love looks like that. So it just
Mm-mm.
completely sucks that you had nothing to even really compare that to.
Yeah.
To know that there's healthier love out there. That was your first, I guess. I don't know. Oh man, that's a lot. So
Yeah.
tell me when things started to change for you as far as because I know you would put up with, like you said, the physical outburst. I know there was something about if you want to talk about like a certain incident with like the kids and the driving and like all
Mhm.
of this stuff started happening, right?
Yeah.
So at what point were you kind of like, this is really dangerous and I need to get out?
Um, there was a certain incident, um, that happened that I knew that I needed to leave the relationship, but I didn't end up leaving until about 3 years after that. He had been drinking, and he went out and he wrapped his truck around a tree. So, he had been calling me all night long. Um, this was my son was probably close to 1 years old. So I had Liliana. She was probably 8 or 9, and then my son would have been about 1. And he wrapped his truck around a tree. His mother went and picked him up and brought him home at probably 5, 6 in the morning, and I was asleep, and the obviously the police were contacted, and I won't I didn't talk to them. I was asleep. I don't know what happened. I don't know how it happened. That was the incident where I knew that I needed to leave.
Mm,
It My son, like I said, he was 1 years old. I didn't leave until he was probably close to 4.
okay. And
but I had
again,
to mentally
that's
prepare
normal too.
myself to leave. It took me
Yeah.
3 years to, like, "Okay, I'm going to leave."
I'm sorry. I just wanted to note in there that on average, people try to leave or attempt to leave 7 times
Oh, yeah.
before they actually leave.
Mhm.
And it makes complete sense, Shelby, that you took that time to plan and to prepare yourself. I mean, you had 2 young children, right?
Mhm.
And you're young yourself. And so that was probably the safest thing for you to do. I don't think, um, in your situation, you really could have done it any differently. And you should be proud of yourself that you did kind of take that time
Yep.
to to do it safely, right?
Yeah.
But I'm sorry, go ahead.
Well, um the incident that happened when I actually left, my son would have been 4 and Liliana would have been 11, I believe. He told me he was at work and he was not at work. He was actually out drinking, like day drinking. And he was like blowing through our entire savings because I kept getting notification after notification on my phone of, Walmart charge, bar charge, this charge. And I'm like, I'm at home and,
Right.
Liliana's at school and my son is with me. Like, what's going on? And it was a Friday and I didn't hear from him. He wouldn't answer my calls, wouldn't answer any texts. And he tried to come home at like 1 in the morning and belligerent, loud, drunk, aggressive. He always would go from 0 to 100 in like 2 seconds. He gets pretty aggressive very quickly and it's scary. So I used a baseball bat to protect myself. um,
Hmm.
and I called the police and I had the police come out and he took off on foot and left his truck there because the police were like, "What is all this glass and plaster all over the driveway? Was there an incident?" And "No, it's on my property. Everything's okay. But I need you to stay here so I can collect our stuff." And I already had stuff packed because I was ready and I knew that there was going to be something that he was going to do and I was going to leave. And I had bags of my kids' clothes and my clothes like packed and ready in my car already. I just needed the police to stay there so I could leave.
Mm.
And I called my mom and I told her that I was done and I was ready to leave. So I left after that. It was probably
Wow.
like 1 or 2 in the morning when I left.
I really want to ask you this question. So you have said that it always escalated when he was drinking or on drugs.
Hmm.
So tell us, what does that feel like when you're at home with the children and you know he's out getting wasted and he's going to end up at home at some point? Talk to me about that. What's going
Oh,
through your head when you're like, "Oh my god, he's going to be home?"
well, at first, like when it was first going on, back in like when we were first together, um, I was scared. And I mean, I think I was scared the entire time, but like when it was first happening, I was really scared and I was really worried. But as longer we were together, I wasn't quite as scared. I was angry.
Mm.
And I also
Yeah.
felt like I was crazy. He made me feel like I was crazy.
Tell
And
me
the
a little
other
bit
thing
more
is,
about that. Tell me
um,
about that because that's that again, I keep saying that word common, but it
yeah.
is they do that. So tell me what that
Well,
looks like because there's other women or men that are in relationships right now that are watching this that are like, "Oh my god, I feel like I'm the crazy one." So what does that
mhm.
look like? Tell us about that.
Well, he would do this weird shit all the time where he would fake phone calls. Like, he would fake, like, his mom is calling him or his brother is calling him, a friend is calling him, and it was always he had this, like, God complex where, like, he needed to be in charge and he needed to fix everybody and he needed to rescue everybody. So he would fake phone calls and that, someone needs help with a car, someone needs help moving something, someone just needs something, so he would leave. And then it would but I'm I'm not stupid. Like, I know that you're drinking right now and I know that you're going to go and get drunk. I know that's what this is. So as like time went on, I wasn't even scared anymore. I literally would open the front door and I would throw his keys out the door. Like, "Okay, bye."
Okay.
I wouldn't even bother fighting him on it anymore because there's no point.
You
So,
were in survival mode at that point.
yeah, absolutely, but I did, I felt like I was crazy because at first I like, what am I doing wrong? Like, what action did I do to, like, trigger you to be this way? And that's not the case at all. I know that now, but I didn't know that till, 5 years ago.
Yeah. And those kind of thought processes like that become ingrained in our brain. So
Mhm.
even when you leave the relationship, those thought processes don't magically disappear,
No.
right? Those are things that we've learned through that relationship that we have to unlearn before we enter into a new relationship, right?
Mhm.
So that time you left, you went with your mom. But because you have kids, you are still intertwined with him, I'm assuming.
Um, a little bit.
Okay.
He has not seen my kids since 2021. There was an incident where he drove drunk and he put his truck in a pond, submerged it in a pond in someone's front yard, and that was on a Saturday. He had the kids from 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. because that's what his paperwork allowed him to do through the court,
Mhm.
and he dropped them off to my mom's house because I'm on my 3rd restraining order against him, and he dropped them off, went and got into a bar fight, drove and put his truck in a pond. So he hasn't seen them since 2021. He's done a couple of days here and there in jail for PPO violations. He's had a he just recently did a big stint for time 10 months in jail, and he hasn't seen them since 2021. He got out of jail just this past February, and then in September he filed paperwork with the court to reestablish visitation and to go over child support again. And we went. I hired a lawyer. Jenna came as well. And me and him were able to mediate between my lawyer and him. And then we came to a court agreement, certain things that he was supposed to do, like reunification counseling, drug abuse counseling, alcohol abuse counseling, all of these things. He had to pay for drug testing and all those things. And he agreed to them while we were in court. All he had to do was go to my lawyer's office and sign the paperwork. And he went to my lawyer's office and made a fool of himself and got pretty aggressive with the staff there and wouldn't sign the court paperwork. So
Hmm.
he can't, he has no visitation rights to see them right now.
Right. I mean, he could, but he has to do the
He
work,
won't. Yeah.
and he's not going to do the work. So,
No.
I mean, it's devastating. Because I think it's important to know, even though when we leave these abusive relationships, it's not like you shut the door and it's just gone and behind you forever.
No. Mhm.
And there is this, especially when there's kids,
Yeah.
you're having to deal with them on all kinds of levels, like with the
Mhm.
kids, with PPO, with all of these different things. And so how do you navigate um moving forward, but yet having this dark cloud that can come out anytime and disrupt your life?
Um, well, with therapy, I've been going to therapy. Um, when I left him 5 years ago, I went for probably about a year and a half to this amazing therapist, and I made my oldest go for probably 6 months or so when we first left too, and we stopped when me and the therapist thought that we were doing well and we're in a better place. I have the tools, I have resources, I know what to do. There's no need for me to come and see you again. And then after my health scare that I had, I went back to her. So I've been out of the 5 years that I've been out of the relationship, I've been in therapy for probably at least 4 of those years. So I'm a big believer in going to therapy. I think everybody should just do it for brain maintenance. You should just go. Find
Yeah,
one that you can mesh with and just go and talk. It's great.
I do. I think
So
it's so important to have a therapist or a coach,
absolutely.
or
Mhm.
have somebody that's trained in um, that is non-biased,
Yeah,
but you have to be really comfortable. Like I heard you
absolutely.
say, like, she's great. You have to be in sync with that person to really be
Yes.
able to heal and move forward. You have to have trust. So I did a podcast with the lady and a couple of weeks ago, and she talked about she learned to interview her counselor or the therapist.
Mhm.
And like a lot of people don't think that they can do that. Like they're
Yeah.
answering all the intake questions of, you know,
Yeah.
are you depressed? Are you this? Are you that? How often? Yada, yada. But you then need to say, and talk about what your needs are and what you need out of that counseling relationship. Like some people just need someone to listen.
Yep.
Some people need tools and they want action. They want to do things. They want to feel like they're doing something, right?
Yep.
So I agree that therapy, don't wait until you need a therapist or a coach to hire one. Just
Yeah.
get one.
Just get
to
one.
help you
Yeah.
thrive through all of it. But okay, so thank you. I know everything you share brings up some of the past, and it's never
Mhm.
easy. And so I know when I ask all my guests to come on here, it's a big ask. And so I
Yeah.
try to do so gracefully and with compassion because I know it's not easy.
Mhm.
But your story, I think, using what you've gone through, turning your pain into purpose, and knowing that you're sharing this not to play victim, not to say, oh God, look what
Mhm.
happened to me. It's listen, people, this is happening right now, and this is the things to look out for, and this is, things you can do to escape. And even if
Mhm.
you are in it and you've tried a few times, it's okay, right?
Yeah.
Just never give up. Keep trying. And that's
Yeah.
the whole point of this podcast. And it just takes brave people like you and Jenna to get these messages out there. So is there anything else that you want to make sure you add? 'Cause, before I move on and ask Jenna like what her experience was.
The only thing that I would like to add is recognizing it and doing something about it before it affects your physical health.
Mm. Talk to me
Because
about that.
2023 I had a stroke. I was 34 and I have undergone every single test and blood test that you can go through. And there's nothing physically wrong with my body. There's nothing wrong with my heart, inside or out. There's nothing wrong with my blood. I have a loop recorder, which is a heart monitor. Um, there's nothing wrong with me. But the amount of suppressed trauma that I experienced for 11 years and then the trauma that I dealt with afterwards, um, and other aspects lifestyle wise, drinking energy drinks because I'm tired, birth control pills, vaping, a combination of all of those. It literally my body started to feel safe after I left the relationship and going to therapy and I was getting everything together. And then because my body felt safe, I had a stroke and I had 4 blood clots. I'm very fortunate to not have anything wrong with me. I need people to realize that those things happen. I might be like the
Yeah.
1 in a million person that it happens to, but they happen. Like you have to
No,
realize the
I
connection between your physical health and your mental health because it does very much exist.
thank you so much for bringing that up. That was super powerful. Exactly what you just said. Every single word of that. So I encourage if you're listening, stop, rewind, go back and listen to that over and over and over again because that suppressed trauma does so much damage
Mhm.
mentally, emotionally, and physically. And it can show up in things like a stroke, but it will show up in your digestive system, right?
Mhm.
It will show up, it will just play havoc on your bones and your joints and
Mhm.
everything. I'm one that holds everything in, and I
Yep.
literally can feel it. And
Yeah.
it will get to a certain point where I can barely walk or bend. And it's because I have been so like focused on work or things like that that I'm just letting everything just kind of build up, and then it's like my body can't move.
Yeah.
So what would you suggest then? Um, how do people avoid that? So when you're like in this relationship, I'm sure it would have been difficult to get help or to have the help, but if you don't know how to release the trauma, what do you suggest them to do to avoid this, I guess?
I don't really think I have a good answer for that.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um, because most of the time, you don't realize it's even going on. But
that is
if
so
there isn't
fair.
even
That is such a good answer.
if there is even a smidge of a doubt that it's happening, you should do something. If there's just even just you shouldn't have to doubt it at all. If there's a if your intuition is just telling you something's not right, if there's a man, that shouldn't have happened, or I don't like how this person handled that, I don't like how they talked to me, I don't like how they made me feel, then chances are it is some type of abuse and you should do something about it. Whether it's
Yeah.
leaving the situation or talking to a professional about it to confirm that that's actually what you experienced, because you chances are you probably don't know. And then leaving that situation or correcting the situation, whatever, I guess whatever you need, whatever you feel is the best thing to do. I
Mhm.
just tell you to leave. That's what I would say.
Yeah, but when people say that, I get really nervous because leaving can escalate the
Yeah.
violence,
Oh, it
by like
does.
70%.
Oh, for
Yeah.
sure.
So I always say contact a place like Haven or
Mhm.
one in your county that is a domestic violence resource center or even the National Domestic Violence Hotline. They have what you call safety plans.
Yeah.
And in they will walk you through how to do it safely for yourself or if you have children, things that you just don't really think of. But Shelby, I think you nailed it. I know you're like, I don't know how to answer that, but
Yes.
that was like
I don't.
that was like the perfect answer because you don't know. You don't know what you don't know until you're looking at it in hindsight.
Yeah.
But with you being isolated from family and from friends and stuff, and being a single, well, you were pretty much a single mom because he was off
Yeah.
at the bar all the time. You had no one to talk to.
No.
And so sometimes just reaching out to a trusted person helps release some of that trauma,
Yeah.
but you didn't even have that. So
Mm-mm.
there are people in situations where they're so isolated that they really don't have an outlet to release
Yeah.
some of that stress that is coming from the trauma situation. But
Yeah.
so thank you again for sharing that. Very, very important that we are paying attention to our bodies as well when we're going through trauma and immediately after trauma,
Yeah.
because our bodies do change. And when your nervous system does start to settle down and start to feel safe, it can do some wonky things.
Yeah.
Um,
For sure.
okay, so, Jenna, thank you very much for patiently waiting while we kind of
Of course.
explored Shelby's story. So, just to lay this out, now you met Shelby's ex
Mhm.
at some point after their breakup.
Yep.
So take me right from there. Take me with that, like how you met, what that relationship looked like, how you learned about Shelby.
Yeah.
You must have had some interaction because of the kids. So share with
Mhm.
me only what you're comfortable with, but let
Of
us
course.
get to know you and your story a little bit.
Sure. So, I met Shelby's ex, not too far after their breakup. So I think they broke up in July-ish and we met in September of that year. I was fresh post divorce as well. So it's kind of important to know I had just lost my job. I got fired from my job. I had sold my home. I had left my ex-husband, went through another, kind of tumultuous situation, and then COVID hit in March of that year. So I was like, my life was literally like completely flipped upside down. I was living a very, very different life than what I had been. And so I was, when I didn't have my kids, I was going out quite a bit and drinking and pretty heavy. And so I met him at the bar, went out with some girlfriends at a town I used to work in. And he approached me and we started pretty much talking from that point on. Similar to kind of how Shelby described it, very charismatic in the beginning. I also struggle with some health issues. So, like, I'd been having some flare ups, and he, would swoop in and was kind of this savior complex and always showing up and always, driving to my house, in the morning and, just going above and beyond what I had experienced, because I had met my ex husband. We were very young. We were in college. It was just a very different relationship. And I was obviously exploring and seeking out different things to kind of figure my own situation out. So we did a lot of drinking together in the beginning, and I think, that masked a lot of it in the beginning because I know that I was definitely not in a good place. And so I was introduced to Shelby a little bit. He really, when he talked about their relationship, he blamed her obviously for a lot of it, and it was a situation that come to find out wasn't even true or really remotely true. He had kind of escalated this story and really took certain parts of it, and then he would keep us separate enough to where, she had reached out to me at one point, but he had kind of said, he'd made up excuses and stories, and he had everything she had sent me in this message, he had an example of and an excuse for. And no, 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 that's not what that was. And, Shelby had even reached out to my ex husband too and was like, hey, just so you know, this is the kind of person this is. And she really did try. But her ex was very good at knowing how to cover up his tracks. And I think he got smarter with me because he knew how to like hide certain things a little bit better. He knew how to manipulate phone calls. He knew how to like, what I found out later was he would kind of antagonize Shelby, and then he would put her on speakerphone when she was having like a reactive episode. And so what I would see was her reaction and him being very calm and going, you're really overreacting. And so from my experience, again, I'm broken, I'm post divorce, I'm falling into this whirlwind of this new life, and I'm seeing this, and my therapist training is kind of giving me warning bells, but my emotional side wanted to be loved so bad. um I'll get a little emotional. I wanted to be loved so bad that I kind of let that go and didn't listen to those warnings.
Mm,
Sorry.
take your time. This is
um
emotional stuff.
so yeah, I definitely knew that there was something off, but just wanting that fairy tale love story. I kind of was like, oh, no, no. He's telling me the truth. He wouldn't lie to me about that kind of stuff. And then when he would manipulate the evidence, I'd be like, oh, okay, well, the evidence shows, you're proving it to me. So that I was able to cover up some of his tracks. But yeah, that was kind of how we started dating. And then we really got close fast. He'd come over every day. He made sure to isolate me very quick in the beginning as well. Took up all my spare time. My friends didn't like him. And so he would always kind of point out, like, well, your friends are doing these things to you. Do you realize how bad they are to you? And he would start to paint them as the bad guys and make them seem like they were the ones that were doing these things to me. And as Shelby mentioned, I started feeling like, wow, yeah, man, these people are really against me. Wow, this is crazy. And you care about me. And one of his favorite things to say was, well, if you ever got cancer or you were dying, I would be the one to take care of you. Your friends wouldn't. He would use that anytime he could. And he also knew that I had a lot of trauma with death. I lost my mom very young. So he would say things like, you don't have anybody else. You know that I'm the only one that cares about you. So he would make it sound like he was my only person in my support system, basically, that cared for me.
Yeah, and he was definitely setting it up to be so, by isolating you. And just for the listeners, can you tell me a little bit why your friends didn't like him? Because I
Mhm.
think um those are often red flags that we ignore, especially in beginning relationships, that our loved ones will see the danger far before we do. So, can you talk to me a little bit about what they were seeing that you weren't?
Absolutely. So they were definitely seeing like him around all the time. They would mention like hey, any spare time you have, you're not really spending, you're not doing girls' night anymore. Or he would just show up to girls' night. This caused a lot of issues with my friends. One of the incidents with, Shelby's children was
Oh my
I
gosh.
was
Yeah.
at a girlfriend's birthday and he was very upset that I was out drinking at the bar. And so he started drinking and was driving around with the children and showed up to her house
Uh-huh.
and walked into her home uninvited, unannounced, which caused a huge. They all started fighting. My friends started fighting. He was fighting. I had to get him out of there. I had to get the kids in the house and, kind of calm the kids down because they were being exposed to all of this as well. And I didn't want them to see, this go down. So I was trying to put out all these fires. And so they were seeing the isolation and kind of the drinking and those big red flags there.
Mm. Okay. Well, thank you for sharing that with me because I really think that that's really important to note that we often do that. And like you said, I mean, when you are fresh out of a marriage and you feel broken and you're trying to start over and this guy just kind of swoops in and
Mhm.
he wants to make you a priority and spend all his time with you and take care of you and do all these things, it's so easy to fall into that. Like, who wouldn't, right?
Yeah.
Because they always put their best foot forward. And I think what's really frustrating is when they do start to show the other side of them, it feels like such a rejection. Like, I know you can treat me good. You did it.
Yes.
Like,
Yeah.
why,
Yeah.
is that, did you guys feel that with him? Like,
Yeah.
why? Like,
Mhm.
remember when you used to take
Yes.
care of me and, you know, you, yeah, it is so frustrating because it's like, but they do it just enough. They do it
Mhm.
just enough and then they're off to the races again. So,
Yep.
wow.
Yes.
Okay. So when how long was your relationship overall with him?
It was on and off for probably like just over a year, maybe year and a half. Cause the incident Shelby referenced with the pond, we were like broken up at the time, but the cops had thought my kids were in the car. So I had also been contacted and they were asking me where my children were because they had seen like some of my kids' stuff in there. Um, and yeah, so
That was
I'm sorry.
October of 2021.
20, yeah, so and then I think we kinda got back together-ish for, like, a month or 2, and we were kinda talking again, and then, of course, he had promised he had changed and did all these things, so I wanna say it was just a little over a year and a half.
So at
Mm.
what point did you start to feel the abuse yourself come from him? And when did he stop being charming um this charming man that's going to take care of you and love you in all the ways that you want? When did you start noticing that shift?
So it happened when I messed up. It was when the power dynamic shifted, basically. So I think in the beginning he was on his best behavior, because at that time, I hadn't messed up in the relationship, and then it took an incident where he had caught me lying about something, or something had happened, and the abuse started very quickly after that. He was very physically abusive toward me, lots of like grabbing by the throat, pushing up against walls. Always drinking. He did the benders with me as well, where he'd go out and get cocaine and be gone for, 6 hours. And it was very similar to Shelby. Either my phone was blowing up and I had 37 missed calls in an hour, or I didn't hear anything and I could see him going to different places and I knew he was out with certain buddies and what they were doing. So the abuse happened very quick, but he promised that it wouldn't happen again. He promised it was the alcohol. He promised it was the drugs. He would like go to therapy to try to like be better. And he would always be like, oh, I want to be healthy again. And let's get on this health kick together. And so the love bombing was really intense. He would really love bomb me hard. The in between would be like, and I remember asking him one time, like why he was doing it, and he said, because I know if you answer me, I've got you. When he would do cocaine, he told me it was like truth serum, so sometimes I would ask questions, and I asked, kind of asked that one time, and he said, because I know if you answer, then I know that I've got you. So I know that those attempts to grab my attention. Eventually I learned where as soon as I would respond, he knew, okay, I got her. She's going to forgive me. It's fine. We're good. And sure enough, most of the time I would. Um, but yeah, the abuse happened pretty quick, and it happened up until like the last big incident that he went to jail for was a night with me. I was on a volleyball league and we had been out and we'd been drinking, and he was always accusing me of cheating. That was like the biggest thing. He was constantly going through my phone. He would accuse me of saving women as men in my phone, and he would make me call them and prove that it was the female's voice on the other end because he wouldn't believe that it was really a woman. He thought that I was always cheating. So he accused me of cheating that night, and we got into a fight at the bar. He started hitting me in the car, which escalated into a car chase. He then, I got to safety. I called a family friend and was able to get to safety. And when I did, he went back to, Shelby, is it okay if I tell your part of the story?
Yep, go ahead.
Okay. So after he had left me, he had drove to Shelby and had been banging on her door saying he was a police officer, or I think he even said he like won the lotto and she needed to
Mhm.
open the door, and then he said he was a police officer. And then he drove back to my house. He destroyed about $3,000 worth of damage in my home. He bent a TV into an accordion. He stole my cat. She was 12 weeks old at the time. She was a kitten, and he took her and got into a high-speed car chase with the police, and he was drunk. And so when he was caught, my cat was in the car with him, and they had to take her to like a rescue, and I had to eventually go claim her and prove that she was mine. But between the abuse, the damage to the home, and the drunk driving, and he got into a fight with the police officers that night as well, that was what he ended up doing the last stint of time for. So that was one of the last big incidents when we were together, and then we broke up, and then we kind of got back together, and then things got really, really bad again, and then we had another big blowout, and then things ended officially.
Wow. Oh my gosh. I am so sorry to you as well. What a terrifying situation that was. And again, he really took advantage of you during your vulnerable time, right?
Mhm.
He really
Yes.
played on that. He played on the fact that you just went through this divorce. He played on the passing of your mother
Yeah.
and pain that you hold on for that. Like, how fucking dare you? I'm sorry, but that just
Yeah.
it just
Yeah.
shows you just how just oh how dirty they play, that they will do
Mhm.
anything. And so yeah, that's just I'm really glad that you've gotten out of that relationship, because it really sounds like, for me listening to this, the escalation of abuse from when Shelby met him getting smacked in the face in the lawn to what he did to you in that incident, right? And doing all of this damage, and a high speed chase with the police and fighting the police, going back between you and Shelby that same
Yep.
night, like he is out
Yep.
of control, like
Yeah.
way out of control. And
Yeah.
that could have ended so much worse. You know what I mean?
Yes.
So
Oh, yeah.
how did you decide enough is enough? Like, I mean, I get that the abuse enough speaks like, well, duh, yeah, I'm gonna leave, but that it's not easy. That is,
Yeah.
it's not as easy said or done as it is said. So how did you find it in yourself when you felt beaten down and broken, and you had children as well,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
How how did you leave? How did you get yourself to do
So
that?
I will say, I mean, as awful as this is, and I hate even saying this, the last really big incident was I was cleaning my apartment, and like my son's toys had went under the side table, and I reached my hand under there, and I felt something that I knew wasn't there, and it was attached to a cord, and I kind of followed it, and I realized he had installed a hidden camera in my home, and he had been watching me like he wasn't allowed around my kids. Obviously, I wouldn't ever let him around my kids after the big incident with the police. So he installed a camera in my home and had been watching me when I would have the kids and when I was alone because again, he was off his rocker. And I don't know, that for me violating my son's privacy, violating just so much. I mean, for me that was the final straw, I guess. And I like you said, I know maybe abuse should be enough, but like when I knew that like it had crossed that line and then he lied and said it didn't work, but then come to find out it did and he actually had footage of me and all this crazy stuff. It just hit a point where I knew I couldn't do it anymore. I knew that that for me was the final moment and he had gotten drunk that night and I just finally had enough and I stopped answering the calls and I just told myself I'm done. I can't do this anymore because genuinely at that point I thought I would end up dead or miserable. Like I thought I would end up in this like long-term relationship and be just like I had accepted that I was just going to be unhappy for the rest of my life and that was just life and that this was just relationships and this is just how things go or I would end up dead. And so at one point I was like this can't be my only two options. I have to want better for myself and for my kids and um again
Mm,
losing my mom young, I don't want to subject my children to that. So there was something in me that I don't know, kind of came out. My friends really showed up. My friends really supported me. Everybody just kind of pulled in and said, "Hey, we got you. We'll get you through this." And, they did. A lot of my support system was a huge, huge part of that.
yeah. I'm very glad that you made it out alive. And I'm very glad that, and I'm sure like I remember when we talked briefly before, you had said, I'm a therapist. I teach people what to look for, and I
Yes.
missed it. And I say that because anyone watching this may feel the same way. Like they might be a therapist. They may work in mental health. That doesn't mean that you're not going to
Mhm.
miss it, you
Yes.
know? Um, so at what point did you start going, so maybe all this BS he's been feeding me about Shelby is not true? Because you had to have come to that
Yes.
aha moment at
Yes.
some point, right? So tell me a little bit about that.
So it was kind of, I would say, Shelby, I think you probably would attest to this too. Like after the incident with the high speed chase, Shelby and I really got in contact shortly after that. And the pond incident, we had been in contact. And
Mhm.
once her and I started talking, we just kind of had a very real conversation. And I feel like we were both just like, hey, no bullshit. Like, what's going on? And we both kind of were honest. I was honest with her about what was going on. And he used that against me. He would tell me that I was the reason he couldn't see his kids because I told Shelby what had happened and that I ruined his life because I called the police. And he would always tell me that it was my fault that he didn't see the kids and I was this horrible person for taking his only reason for living away and blah blah blah. But I think, once Shelby and I had a chance to really talk and it was like, "Hey, girl to girl here, like what's going on?" And I don't know, we've had a connection from the beginning. There was just something there that trauma bonded us together and we
Oh,
were just
yeah.
able to kind of have
Yeah.
honest conversations about what had happened.
Well,
And he
I'm
was
glad that you 2 did get to, unite like that, and we're gonna jump into that. I wanna dig into that more,
Sure.
because I think you guys set such an incredible example for other women. So I want to dive into that. But before I do that, Jenna, is there anything else that you want to talk about for your side of the story that you want to share with possibly anyone out there listening?
Yeah, the only thing I would add is you know, having relationships after, like I attest to the chronic health issues. I have really bad stomach flare ups now. I have really bad chronic illness. I'm sick a lot due to my immune system and just trying to be in a healthy relationship now is very difficult. Unfortunately, my partner suffers a lot because of what he did. Like he can't touch me in certain ways or I will start crying immediately. If he grabs my head in a certain way, I will immediately start crying. And it really hurts him and we struggle sometimes because of that. And I think that it's important to know like relationships are can be successful after, but they're going to take a lot of work and it takes a lot of patience with you and your partner. Your partner really has to not just say that they're understanding, but genuinely be understanding because it's really difficult to trust anybody again. It's really difficult to not think that at one point he's not going to switch a flip on me and it's going to be the same thing. And it's taken a lot to rebuild that and even consider being with someone long term again.
Yeah. Well, like I said earlier, you have to unlearn all of those patterns that you've learned and all these rules that you live by. You know, you got to unlearn all of that stuff, but you're afraid to. That's become your norm for so
Yes.
long. And like, how do I change it? Who do I change it for? What do I change it to? Kind of thing. And it can happen. And I think that with enough inner work and work with your partner, that you guys will be able to move beyond this and those moments will become less and less that you're going
Mhm.
to be trigger reminded.
Yeah.
And but they do happen. Like I have been out of my abusive relationship for I want to say like the physical abusive relationship I was in almost 20 years. And but I just met back in 2018 is when I met my very first healthy relationship. Healthy
Okay.
me, right? But I still reacted and it was probably 2 years into our relationship. We have a smaller walk-in closet and I walked in to get something and I turned around and he was like bam,
Mm.
like right in
Yeah.
my face and
Hmm.
I instantly like pushed him away and I'm like
Yep.
get out of here. Like I yelled something. That poor guy, he was like,
Yeah.
he had no idea what had
What?
happened. Yeah. It was like I just like went crazy there for, 8 seconds. It was just he didn't know what, but he said, it was something along the lines of he didn't take it as me doing anything to him. What he witnessed is what somebody had done to me.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I'm like,
Yeah.
wow. That, like, it gets me emotional because that is
Um,
so true. I wasn't doing anything to him. That was a reaction that was taught to me that somebody had put on me, you know? And so if your
yes.
partner or maybe anyone else out there that is in a relationship um, with somebody that has been through abuse, is you got to remember that these reactions are something that was learned, but can be unlearned. If they can be learned, they can be unlearned. But the
Yes.
only way that they can be unlearned is with patience and trust and love and reassurance. And like I said, that was a perfect thing he could say is like, I didn't do anything wrong. Like he didn't take it that way. I was
Yes.
Yeah.
simply having a reaction that I was taught. And so thank you for bringing that up. And again, speaking to the health issues, the gut issues, the chronic illness is from unhealed trauma, you know, and that's why I even started this whole ambassador program was because of my daughter. Um,
Yes.
she
Hmm.
passed and it was from unhealed trauma. If I want to blame it on any one thing, it's
Yeah.
from the unhealed trauma.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she went through very, very physical and emotional and sexual abusive relationship in the short amount of time that she was around, and alive. So thank
Yeah.
you for
Absolutely.
both of you guys being warriors and sharing these stories because you're going to help other women and even men that are in this relationship. All of this works for them if they're in an abusive relationship. It's the same thing. So um I only keep saying women because we're women, right? But
Yeah.
you're also
Yeah.
doing this for all the mothers out there that have daughters like I did,
Yes.
that
Yeah.
you're speaking to their daughters and
Yeah.
telling them to safely get out. You're telling them what to look for. You're telling
Hmm.
them when your friends and your loved ones are telling you this person is no good for you. They're not doing that to be mean. They're
Yes.
not. They are
Yes.
No.
looking out for you and you've got to start taking notice to that and you got to start giving credit to them and what they're saying to you so lots of things ladies like can you like I'm just going to open it up to both of you guys now looking back let's first talk about the similarities of um what he brought to both of your relationships like for one he brought the charm
Hmm.
Hmm.
right when you guys look back now, what other things did you go, "Oh my god, he did that to me too?" Tell me about some of those things.
Feel like it was like everything. We kind of like met
Yeah.
for lunch one day and like we were comparing notes and it was almost like check, check, yep, did
Yep.
that, check, yep.
Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah,
Um,
I mean, that's crazy. That's the way it works, but most of the time, you don't get 2 women that go out and have lunch afterward, and talk about these things, but, like, listening to this, you might start hearing these things, like, "Hey, we're that friend having lunch with you telling you these
mhm,
are the signs. These are the common things that are gonna show up with an abuser, especially that is an addiction, an active
yeah.
addiction."
The
So,
invasion of privacy, was a huge thing with him too, with both of us. He
Hmm.
had the cameras with her, and he air tagged me and my children.
Hmm.
He put air tags in their backpacks, and he put an air tag in my car. I actually found them. I'm glad I found the one in my car because I found the one in my children's bags first, and then I thought I should probably go look in my car because, chances are, he could have one of the kids could have got out, or he was helping one of the kids out, and he could have slipped one in my car, and he did. And I have no idea how long they were there for. I know that they were there, and I know that I destroyed them when I found them, but they were there.
and what do you guys think that was from? Do you think that was from control? Do you think that was
Oh, yeah.
just him
Control.
wanting to know
It was
what was
control.
happening in your life when he was not
I
around?
think it is because he knew that he was the one doing the things that he shouldn't be doing in a relationship,
Exactly.
so he misplaced it on both of us instead, so he wanted to know what we were doing.
Yeah.
He would dig for stuff. Like it would be
Oh,
like
for
if
sure.
if we were doing well, he would like look through my phone to find something to fight about. So he would even like pull up
Mhm.
a text message from me and a girlfriend like talking shit about him like during the whatever and he would use whatever he could to start a fight to either go on a bender or
Yeah.
to whatever
Mm.
he wanted to do that night.
That's what
I
he would
wanna
do all the time is he would pick a fight so he could leave, and it would be, like, the dumbest shit ever so he could leave.
well, I
It
wanna
could be
point out
anything.
too, Jenna, especially with you, that so he's doing this, he picks fights and all of that, not only just to get out, but I also think it is their job to try to make you guys feel like the bad one, the
Yeah.
problem,
Wanted
the
us to
crazy one.
react.
So they create these issues just like earlier in the conversation you said the abuse really started after you made a mistake. And I'm
Yep.
waiting for
Yeah.
this huge mistake and you're like, I think I lied about something. That tells me how much he did manipulate you
Mhm.
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that you almost by the way you worded it, it was like you're still blaming yourself that the abuse started because of
Yeah.
something you did. And I
Yeah.
just want to call fucking bullshit on that.
Yeah.
And I hope that you'll do some self reflection on that because
Sure.
he was looking. When people look for stuff, they will find it.
Yeah.
If
Oh,
that means
yeah.
they got to create it, they will. So I can guarantee you are not the problem. And Jenna, you absolutely, your little mistake or your lie is not what caused the abuse.
No.
He and his personality and his mental health issues and his addiction is 100% responsible for all of the abuse that you went through and Shelby that you went through. Don't
Mhm.
ever forget it. Okay?
Yeah.
Please do
You're
not ever
right.
forget that. Okay, so I get it. You guys had similar situations. So you talked a little bit and then you started kind of comparing notes. But that is still far fetched from Jenna going to court with you for you and your children. Like,
Yeah.
girls, I caught that right away, and I'm like, so how? Because again, this is
So,
remarkable. Like,
there
how
was
are you guys healing
actually
together?
um, there was actually a my ex had another long-term relationship after Jenna,
Mhm.
and
Oh,
when she left him, she turned him into the police herself. That's what got him put in jail for 10 months. So,
Yeah.
um, me and Jenna were close prior to that, but after that, um, that woman contacted me right away because he actually called me when he was being arrested. And like I
Yeah.
heard the police in the background. So that's actually what prompted us to get together. And me and Jenna and this other woman um got together, and there was a notebook involved, and that's when we went to dinner. And
Hmm.
we started piecing things together and putting together a timeline of events and a timeline of things that have happened. And um me and Jenna really supported that other woman as well because she needed
Yeah.
it as well. And we went to court with her as well when she needed it.
Yep.
Mm.
So
So I just want to say this to any abusers that might be watching this, that when you pit women against each other and you try to make them enemies, they don't become enemies, they become
nope.
witnesses.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Yep.
Yep.
yeah, okay.
That's what
So
happened. So
you
we
tried
went
helping
to
her.
yep, we went to dinner and we pieced together things, and we really supported each other. We all three of us stayed in contact for a while. Me and Jenna are the only ones that are in contact now. Um and there has been two other women that have also contacted me regarding my ex and the things that he has done. And I feel like me and Jenna have a different connection
Yeah.
than me and the other women do. I don't talk to them, not that I don't want to. It's more of their choice and a more of I think me and Jenna are the only ones that are healing enough to being able to have not necessarily a trauma bond, but we have an appropriate bond too.
Yeah.
And the
Because
other women don't. So
we've had points too where even like, Shelby, when things got really intense when he went to jail, like, we've had honest conversations where we've said like, hey, we need to take a step back for a little bit. Like, I'm really,
yeah,
really triggered right now. Like, we're very honest with each other. And like, we've had
mhm,
to have that conversation where it's like, hey, I need some time. Like, I'm really not in a good place or whatever. And then usually we're able to come back to each other and say, hey, how are you? We'll check in. We try
yeah,
to just make sure each other's doing okay and make sure that we're still, but I think I agree with that. I like that she said that we're not trauma bonded, that we have an appropriate bond because we do know those boundaries with each other still, and we still respect that with one another as well.
yeah. And there's
Mm,
been plenty of times too where I've called and text Jenna and been like, I need you to tell me like what I'm doing is the right decision in my personal life. Like what I'm
Hmm.
doing right now is okay. And I need, or this is the right, or, my son did this, or, my daughter did this, or, and we've just talked just as friends and had nothing to do with the past.
Yep.
And
yeah,
we've been able to do those things too. So
I love that.
and I think that's a huge thing. So,
Yeah.
Sure,
I mean,
sure,
I've relied
because
on Jenna for a lot of things. So when it came back that my ex wanted, contact with the kids again, I was like, I need to Jenna was like my second phone call.
yeah,
I need I called my lawyer, I called my mother, and then I called Jenna because of the things we have experienced, because it's with the same person, I didn't really have to explain much. She just
Yeah.
understood. It was just there. So
mm,
I knew that she would show up for me, and I knew that she would understand how important it was that not only for her to show up like as a woman for me, but for her to show up as someone who has been directly involved and has seen the abuse that my ex has put my kids through. So I need
Yeah.
assistance now that I can't provide just myself.
mhm, yeah. Well, I love that, and I think it's important that to note that you guys have respect for each other.
Yeah.
You guys have
Yes.
boundaries, that you have open communication, that you're
Mhm.
able to say, I can't talk about this right now because I'm feeling triggered without
Mhm.
upsetting the other person or feel like you're letting them down, that you're
Yeah,
not
no.
just
Yes.
listening, even though it's killing you to hear it. Okay, so going back to your guys' relationship, you said that you're not just trauma bonded, but you're healthy bonded as well, right?
Yeah.
Because to me, trauma bonding is a lot of things in itself. But if you guys were just sitting around and every conversation you had, you were going back to that relationship and to that
Yes.
dark time and to, what it did to you. All of the
Mhm.
things that you can't change right now. Do you know what I mean? Like it is
Yeah.
that's trauma
Yes.
bonding and in an unhealthy way, right? What I love about you guys is that you're talking about what something your son may have done or what the
Yes.
dog did, that you guys
Mhm.
are talking about future and like, getting through your illnesses that you guys both have, right?
Yes.
Mhm.
And
Yep.
talking
Yes.
about how to move forward. And I'm sure, Jenna, you've talked about this new relationship you're in, and maybe you've
Yes.
gone to Shelby about things like that, or maybe things that are coming up
Yeah.
that we're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
coming up. What do I do about it? Like,
We have
move,
Yeah.
absolutely.
right? That moving forward, that is just a healthy friendship, and
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
think it's amazing that you guys can come from what you came from and anyone that has lived through the abuse that you've lived through, loving someone, alcoholic. I'm a recovering alcoholic, so I know what I put my family and friends through.
Mhm.
Um, that you guys have found a way to not only grow as women, and to thrive as women. But you guys were able to come together and heal together and support each other. You didn't just say, yeah, I get it. I mean, you guys are really, you've been available for women after you that
Mhm.
has
Mhm.
been
Yeah.
exposed to your exes, you have one ex. So let me talk about that because something like came up for me. I've never experienced this really where I've had, you know, other girlfriends reach out to me about my exes and say, "Hey, this is happening." Um, do you ever feel like do you always want to be available for his girlfriends that he's currently abusing? Is that difficult to answer the phone
Mhm.
and to be there for yet another woman that he's doing this for? Is it healthy for you to do that? I get why you want to do it because us as survivors, we naturally want to help other survivors. Exactly why you're on this podcast today is to do that. So
Mhm.
talk to me about that, ladies. Help me figure that one out. Like, what is your thought process in that? Because to me, it would be difficult to like every year get another call and go, okay, he abused me.
Mhm.
And it brings it all up again. So talk to me about that.
Do you wanna go first?
You go ahead, Shelby.
I was just gonna say I think I've had more reach out to me than you. So,
Definitely.
because
Yeah.
I mean, I've had you, and then I've had 3 others, and it's all been in the span of, 5 years. And all of the women that have reached out to me are all mothers. 2 of you, Jenna and, um, his last ex, are mothers. One other one, she reached out to me because my ex paid for an abortion for her. And then, the last one that reached out to me because she was his roommate after he got out of jail the last time, and she was concerned about behavior and didn't want him to be around my kids. No, of course, I don't want women to have to reach out to me. Would I prefer them to reach out to me? Absolutely. It's exhausting. It's mentally and emotionally exhausting, but I will answer the phone every single time. If Jenna calls me and she wants to talk about it, cool, we'll talk about it. If Jenna wants to call me
Mhm.
and talk about anything else, I'm gonna answer.
Mhm.
His last ex, I haven't heard from in a very long time. I don't expect to hear from her in a very long time. Her number is in my phone. If she calls me, I'll answer it. The other woman, that his roommate, her number is in my phone. If she calls me, I'll answer. If another woman decides to call me or text me and say, "Hey, I don't know if you know me, but I know your ex," I'm gonna respond.
Yeah.
I'll be
That takes a lot of
tired,
strength to do that,
but
Shelby. And but it sounds to me like you have a very healthy mindset right
Yeah.
now you're thriving, and I just really hope you have boundaries
Shelby
when
Yes.
it
has really
comes
good
to that.
boundaries. I
Yeah,
mean, I would definitely attest that. I feel like she's done a really good job of being able to balance that because it is exhausting, and I think she does get the brunt of the phone calls and the lawyers, and she's the one that
mhm,
kind of fills me in and keeps me in the loop, and so I know she takes the brunt of that, and that's a lot for her to be the information gatherer to all of this very traumatic information that's constantly coming in. So I think that she does a fantastic job of holding her boundaries and keeping, herself healthy as best as she can. And I think that I just proud of like the progress that, she's made, and it's been good to watch and
yeah, that's
see the
great.
growth.
Yeah.
Yeah, like for me, I get a lot of people will reach out to me that maybe are having difficulties with drinking or want to
Mhm.
get help, and so I get a lot of that because I'm very public about um, all my struggles, my wins, my struggles, everything. I'm very public about it. So, but it can get exhausting, especially because same like with an alcoholic, just because we're having a moment doesn't mean we're going to get sober the first
Yeah.
time, you
Yeah.
know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
And just because there is a situation, doesn't mean you're going to leave that relationship right away, So it can get exhausting, especially if they
Yep.
stay with the
Yeah.
ex. And it's like,
Yeah.
you know, um, so good. I'm glad that you have boundaries. I'm glad that you guys have each other.
Yeah.
And I'm glad that these women know that they can reach out to you when they're ready. But I love the
Mhm.
fact that you guys can identify and respect that they might not be as far on their healing journey as you,
Yeah.
or um, you know, a whole lot of other things can come into play to where they may very well just want to put it behind them and not have any connection to that relationship, which would include both of you guys, and just
Yeah.
move past it.
Yeah.
I'm sure it's nothing personal on you
Mhm.
Yep.
guys, but just acknowledging it and respecting it and wishing them, the best is such a healthy, badass warrior type thing
Yeah.
I've ever seen. So yeah, it's crazy. So what would you guys say to other survivors or other men or women that are in a situation and they are getting fed the whole line of my ex is crazy,
Mhm.
they're the problem. Like what would you say to that?
Do your research. I mean,
Yes.
I think that, and I guess here's what I would say. As someone who co-parents with, I'm divorced. I co-parent with my ex-husband. Um, no, just be comfortable. Like you have to be able to talk to that person. You have to like there shouldn't be well, you can't talk to them for this reason. Do your research, know what you're looking at, and just really make sure that you're asking the right questions, I guess, and that you're not allowing yourself to, if your gut's telling you something, do your research. That's what I would say. Cause, there were times where my gut would be telling me something, but I would just let it go. And, come to find out it would end up being something. So if your intuition's screaming, do the research, ask the questions. You should be co parenting with this person in a healthy way. You should have communication with them. There should be no reason you can't talk to, that person, especially if you're sharing children with them and their new partner.
Yeah, good. And it's really great input. How about you, Shelby? Do you have anything to add to that or disagree with that?
Oh, I mean, I 100% agree because he told her that he had shared custody of our kids, and that was not the case. He wasn't even allowed to have joint custody with me because of all of the abuse and all of the restraining orders that I had against him. So that I would 100% agree. Do your research. And there's absolutely no reason to be in a relationship where if you have any type of inkling, any type of anything screaming at you that there's any type of abuse going on, then listen to that. And then the other thing I would add is listen to other people around you. If other people are telling you,
Yeah.
we see this, these are red flags, that's unhealthy, listen to those things because they're probably seeing something that you're not because you're so close to the situation, or you're infatuated with this person, or you really like this person, or you want to be loved and you want that so bad that you're blinded by those things. You just don't see it.
Yeah.
Yep.
I think it's everyone naturally wants to be loved. But I think what
Mhm.
we got to remember is that we want healthy love, that no one
Yeah.
should just settle for love and what that may look like. You know, there's such thing as healthy love, and
Yeah.
no one should be settled for anything less than that.
Mhm.
I wanted to ask you guys too because you both were isolated, right? In
Mhm.
this relationship.
Mhm.
Um, what would you say to other people that are in an abusive relationship that might be feeling um, shame or guilt, or may feel like they are crazy, that they're the crazy one because they've been manipulated into believing that they were, um, and just completely isolated where they don't really have friends or family that they can turn to? What advice do you have for them and how they can start moving forward to getting help and getting out of that situation?
Yeah. There's always a way out.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna
There's
say too. There's
there's
always
always a way out.
something.
Yeah, there's always another option. Um, and you're not alone. You might think you're alone, but you're not. There's always an option. Um, a friend, a shelter, a parent, a relative, a coworker, something.
Therapist.
There's always something. You
Mhm.
have to want it. And the other thing is we are so comfortable with what we're familiar with, and that the unknown is so scary, and that's another reason why people stay. And you just have to take that first step. Just take that first step, and just talking to someone, or taking that first step because you're fed up and you leave and you go somewhere.
Good input.
Absolutely.
And that is so true that thinking about all the things that would have to change and how am I going to afford to live on my own
Yeah.
and this and that and the other, we
Mhm.
know how to control the situation. Even if it's in an abusive situation, we know how to survive it. We know how to
Yeah.
get through it.
Yep.
Mhm.
We know how to do all those things. So sometimes that seems easier than
Yeah.
leaving. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
in actuality, leaving is never, it's not going to be easy. I'm not going to
No.
bullshit anyone. It's not easy. It's not
No.
fun, but it's the only way that you will eventually be able to start living a life that you deserve and a life
Yeah.
of love. If you stay,
Absolutely.
you never get that option.
Mm-mm.
You will always just be surviving,
Yeah.
maybe even surviving.
Yeah.
And that's what
If
I was
you're
gonna
lucky.
say. My advice is you can have a totally different life. You know, what I thought my life was gonna be 3 years ago and what my life is now is
Totally different.
no, I mean, yeah, like it's just like I have, I read a quote recently and I think I posted it online, of course, and it was like, I maybe don't have everything I want right now, but I have everything I wished I had 3 years ago. And like
Yeah.
looking back at that point when
Yeah,
I left 3 years ago and like where my life was, and like I have this partner now who is always up for an adventure, and we go on motorcycle rides, and we're all, we're just constantly doing things together. And he, is the definition of my best friend. And like, I just 3 years ago, I didn't even think that was real and that that could happen. So my advice is you can have a completely different life. Like it does not have to look like this. And I agree wholeheartedly with what Shelby said too.
Yeah.
yeah.
And when you're
Uh,
having an issue, or you're doubting something, or when you're having like a panic attack or something, your partner is there for you like 100%.
Yeah.
And like he really is. So like
He's always
I
very good about that. I don't know how
yeah.
he does it. I
Yeah.
always tell him, like, I don't know how you put up with my tears every day,
Uh-huh.
but thank you for doing it.
Right.
I love it. I know my Troy, like when I lost my daughter, that had to have been a very difficult situation for him to be in. And
Absolutely.
he'll
Yeah.
know when I'm either being triggered or I'm like having a bout of grief. And he will say to me, and I'm only bringing this up because hopefully somebody else can pick this up if they're looking on how can I support my loved one. But he doesn't say a whole lot. And he just said, I know I don't say much, but just know I'm always close.
Yeah.
I
So
love
I'm
that.
like,
Aw.
because he doesn't try to fix me. He never is like,
No.
"What's wrong? What
Exactly.
can I do? What
Yeah.
did this?" You know,
Just be
he
there.
just lets me be, and no
Yeah.
matter how messy that is, he doesn't say, "Well, you seemed fine this morning." Like, he would
Yeah.
never say anything like
Exactly.
times not doing a whole lot is a lot better support
Yeah.
than trying to do something, you know?
Yes.
Um, so this okay, so much. We've gone through so much and so much great little nuggets here that you guys
Mhm.
are giving to other people that are listening to this. And so I'm super excited to get this published because man, just so much of the things to look for. And what would you say if let's say I like say somebody starts dating somebody and they're going doing the whole hey my ex is crazy, my ex is the problem. Um what would you say to like this new person say if that's the case then call the ex.
Mhm.
Why don't
Yeah.
you call and find out for yourself and
Like,
establish
this
a
Agreed.
is
relationship
yeah.
Yep.
with that person on your own. I'm very much a type of person that I will I find out about people on my own. You might have a
Yeah.
problem with her and you might not like her and you might have dissed by her, but I might like her. Like I
Yeah.
Yeah.
never
Yeah.
make that decision until until I give that opportunity to get to know somebody. So what do you say about that? Like would that be
Mhm.
wild for a new girlfriend to be like calling up the ex and saying, "Hey, this is being said. Do you have any insight for me? It's make me a little nervous, make me a little uncomfortable. We got to deal with each other because you guys have kids
Yeah.
together."
Yeah.
Like, what do you say to that? Should they?
No, I think that's a great idea. Like, I don't
Yeah.
see that as an issue at all. Like,
I think we
especially
should be more comfortable with that. I think it
I
shouldn't be
yeah,
taboo.
I don't
Yeah,
understand why that's not an actual thing. As a parent with
Yeah.
kids, like, I don't understand why that's not a thing. Like, why can't I call and talk to your ex, or why can't me and your ex go to lunch or something and talk about things before, like, I
yeah.
get too far in? Like, why can't I do that?
If
And you
there's
should be
nothing to
honest,
hide,
Tiffany. Like your partner should be telling you the truth.
Yeah.
I feel like in my divorce, I made mistakes. Like I'm honest with my current partner about what I messed up in, the things I
Mhm.
did. So at that point, like go ahead and talk to him. He and I both know the same story, so you're gonna get the same story from both of us. If you don't really have anything to hide, it shouldn't be a big deal
That
if your
should be an
ex
issue.
calls each other up.
Yeah.
yeah. It's like
And I don't
calling
know
a
how
on
many
a resume,
times I
calling.
asked to talk to Jenna too,
Yeah.
and I asked him so many times, because she's gonna be around my children. So
Yeah.
why can't I talk to her? Why can't and it's, "Oh, well, she doesn't wanna talk to you." "Oh, there's no reason for you to talk to her." "Well, she's around my children, that's every reason to talk to her, what do you mean?"
Yep.
Mm,
So there's I just don't see why that can't yeah, that should happen.
yeah, because I feel like well, an ex is couldn't be a better reference, right?
Yeah,
So
absolutely.
and you
Yeah,
might feel like, well, will I be able to trust this person? Are they going to tell me this? Or are they just jealous because I'm dating them now? You're going to
Yeah.
have all of those things. But I think the bottom line is if you call somebody and try to have an honest conversation,
yep.
you'll be able to tell a lot about that person just in that conversation,
Oh,
Agreed.
yeah, 100%.
you know?
I remember the
So,
first time I talked to Jenna after, things were going on with and it was we talked on the phone for, like, probably close to, like, 2 hours,
Yeah.
like, getting
wow.
Yeah.
information between us.
Yeah.
And just getting
And
to
it was
know
like
each other.
yeah, and it was, I was gonna go camping for my birthday and had gone to jail, and that was, I think, the first, like, real conversation that we actually had.
It was, yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. I
Yeah.
remember I called you on my drive home, I think, or
Yeah, just so you
yep.
know, he's in jail. I was like, "Oh, that's great because he's supposed to have them this weekend."
Mm,
Yeah. I was like,
Yeah.
surprise. This is what
Yep,
happened. Gave her the
yep,
whole
right.
story.
yep,
Yeah. So let's start making that the new norm, everybody out there listening. When you get into a new relationship, ask
Yep.
for
yep,
references. You want the
yep.
exes, the last three exes' names, phone number,
Yeah.
take
I
the
Everything.
like it.
ring.
On a resume,
And
print it out.
yeah, and hell, we do this for a job. Why wouldn't we do it for our
Yeah,
relationship?
no
We live
kidding.
with these
Yeah,
people, you know? Okay,
especially
ladies.
when kids are involved.
Yes, especially when kids are involved. But all right, we're going to wrap up. Is there anything, any other messages of healing, of hope, of survivorship that you want to share with anyone that might be listening that can relate to your story on healing? Like, tell it to them.
For
We'll
me,
start.
I think it's just, I think it's not very common for women to leave after, 10, 11 years, and I did. So
Yeah.
you can do that too.
Mm,
Chances are, like, if a woman stays that long, you're gonna end up dead if you continue to stay, and that's where I was with him. It's gonna
yeah,
be one of us, me or him, and I felt like I have 2 kids to take care of because 'cause you're sure not gonna do it.
yeah.
So, for me, my message would be simply that, like, you can leave after 2 weeks, you can leave after 2 years, you can leave after 10 years, but if you're watching this and you think that there's any type of abuse in your relationship, find a safe way to go, and you can do so. You can
Mm.
wake up and change your mind about anything, and you can take action on that.
I love it. Great message. Thank you, Shelby. That was a wonderful
Mhm,
message. How about you, Jenna?
I mean, I think I said most everything I wanted to say. So just same, you can have a different life. There's always hope and
mhm.
don't feel like you're trapped.
Yeah.
No.
And just going back to what you said, that there can be a healthy relationship after an abusive one,
Yes.
like
Yeah.
you're in right now. That
Yes.
Yes.
is a possibility, that you are not doomed for life to go into one abusive relationship after the next. And if you find yourself on that hamster wheel, then I'm going to say
Mm.
this very boldly because that's who I am. Then you are the problem when it comes to that, because
Yeah.
you need to love you
Yeah.
first.
Sure.
You need to learn um, life skills, and you need to learn boundaries and self worth and self
Mhm.
Being
love and how
okay.
to take care of yourself and how to
Yeah.
be alone and
Yep.
love it. Really
Mhm.
Yep.
learn to love your own company
Yeah.
before you get into the next relationship, because we get into relationships we're comfortable with. And like these ladies mentioned, you get comfortable even in abuse.
Yes.
You
Mhm.
get comfortable in the manipulation.
Yep.
So do the work first. If you want off the hamster wheel of the going in from one abusive relationship after the next,
Mhm.
then do the work. The inner work needs to be done. That's your
Yeah.
sign. But Jenna and I are great examples that healthy love can come after
Yeah.
abusive relationship. And
Yes.
Shelby, damn it, girl, when you are ready,
Mhm.
your your man is there waiting for you as soon as you're ready. So you will find him as well. And
Yes.
so thank you, ladies. This has been a very intriguing conversation. It's
Mhm.
been very
Me
Mhm.
too.
powerful.
Mhm.
It's been, even though we're talking about dark, hard things, it's been
Mhm.
uplifting because you two really shine um, when it comes to being a survivor and being able to thrive after trauma and
Yeah.
being able to find ways to not suppress that trauma, because
Yeah.
like you guys said, it will affect you physically. You guys have, like, I can't wait for you guys to listen back to this because you'll be like, damn, yeah, and that point and that point and that one. So um thank you from the bottom of my heart for doing this
Yeah.
again. I
Thank
know
you
it's
for having
difficult.
us.
You're
Yeah,
welcome.
absolutely.
You're welcome. To my Thrive Tribe, thank you for listening to these episodes and tuning in for this one. Please subscribe, like, and share. And in the comments, you know, give Shelby and Jenna a shout out. Like, how amazing is it that they're sitting here together and healing together and surviving together? I really hope that you guys caught on to some of these great nuggets that they were able to give you guys tonight, and giving you some of the red flags to look for, giving you some of the common things that you'll see in an abuser's personality. Please, please pay attention to those things. Um, Love is not that important if you have to be
No.
abused to get it. So stay tuned. We will have more great episodes coming up for you. But for now, take care. Bye, Jenna. Bye, Shelby. Thank you again so
Bye.
much.
Thank
Have a great
you.
night.
Bye.
All right. Bye bye.